Hello and welcome to today's episode on part 2 of organization structure. My name is Rayyan Zahoor and the subject expert is Dr. Arshia Hussain, PhD in Human Resource Management and teaching in the Department of Commerce and Business Studies, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. In part 1 of organization structure, we discussed the various approaches to management thought. We began with classical theory and the contributions it has made and also its criticism. There are three prominent approaches of classical theory, out of which we discussed scientific management approach in detail. Today we will look at the other two approaches, which are administrative approach and bureaucratic organization approach. Administrative management approach. This is also known as the management process approach. This school of thought perceives management to be a process that involves several important functions such as planning, organizing, directing and controlling. This is the reason it is also known as the functional approach. Another name for this approach is the management process approach. Henry Feyel is considered to be the father of this school of thought. Henry Feyel looked at management as a group of several different functions. He defined 14 principles of management and suggested that they were applicable universally. Feyel started by dividing all operations related to business organizations into 6 categories: technical, which includes production; commercial, which includes sales and purchase; financial or the funding of capital and its control; security or protection; accounting, which includes balance sheets and costing records; administrative or management, which includes planning, organizing, commanding, coordination and control. Feyel was of the opinion that organizations need to give more attention to managerial activities. He believed that management is a process and consists of 5 elements of function. These elements are planning, organizing, commanding, coordination and control. Feyel further observed that planning indicated studying the future and arranging the plans of operations. Organizing indicates building up of the material and human resources of the organization. Command denotes displaying authority and ensuring that the employees do the tasks they are assigned. Coordination means aligning all the activities in the organization. Control means that all the tasks that need to be done are completed based on the standards that the organization has created and following all instructions that have been provided. Feyel in his theory states that in order to be effective, the management of an organization must base itself around 14 principles that he laid down. These principles are division of labor, authority along with responsibility, discipline, unity of command, unity of direction, subordinating the interest of an individual for the larger interest of the organization, centralization, scalar chain, order, equity, stability, initiative, strength in union. Criticism of the administrative management approach. The management process approach has made significant contributions to the development of classical theory. However, their work suffers from several limitations, which are: there is not even one classification of the functions of managers which has been accepted by all theorists of the management process approach. A lack of unanimity in different terms used commonly is also pointed out by critics. For example, management and administration, commanding and direction, and so on. The proponents of this approach believe that the principles are universal in nature. However, when the principles are examined closely, they are unable to provide expected results in several situations. The theorists of management process approach did not take into account the external environment of any business. Feyel laid too much emphasis on the intellectual aspect of management. He believed that there should be a formal education of management. However, he did not explain the nature of management education or its contents. A comparison between Taylor and Feyel. Taylor paid a lot of attention to the management of the shop floor and the factory, while Feyel paid more attention to the functions of managers and the process of management as a whole. Taylor's approach was to work from the bottom to the top level. The focus of his study was the operator at the level of the shop. Feyel, on the other hand, followed an approach that was from the top to the bottom. He gave emphasis on the unity of command, on the unity of direction, on coordination, and on the strength of union. Taylor followed an approach of efficiency movement, and his perspective was narrow in its outlook, whereas Feyel's perspective is seen as wider in its approach. His aim was to evolve principles that could be used to provide direction to administration in different fields. The focus of Taylor's approach was to increase productivity and completely neglected the human resources. Feyel displayed some sensitivity towards the human element. This can be seen in some of the principles he put forward, such as initiative, stability of service, and the spirit of cooperation. Taylor is known as the father of the scientific management approach, and Feyel is known as the father of the administrative management approach. Bureaucracy. Max Weber made significant contributions to the classical theory of management. He was of German origin and was a sociologist, a historian, a jurist, and a political economist. His most important contribution to management is his theory of authority structure and his account of organization, which is based on the nature of authority and its relationship within the organization. Weber was of the opinion that there are three layers of acceptable authority, which are: rational legal authority. Obedience is essential to a formally established position that lies inside the hierarchy of an organization, a government, a unit of the armed forces, and so on. Traditional authority. An individual is obeyed if he belongs to a certain class or occupies a certain position which is traditionally accepted as a position of authority. An example of this is a royal family. Charismatic authority. People obey a certain individual if they believe that individual carries some special power or appeal. According to Weber's theory of bureaucracy, rational legal authority is recognized as the most important type of authority in an organization. The traditional authority system does not pick leaders based on their competence. Their charismatic authority is considered irrational and too emotional. A bureaucratic organization that is based on rational legal authority displays certain features which are division of work. There is a considerably high level of division of work at both the administrative level and the operative level. This allows the organization to achieve specialization of work. Hierarchy of positions. There is a distinct hierarchy of authority in an organization structured on bureaucracy. All the lower positions are under the control of a higher position. This leads to unity of command. There is clear hierarchy in the bureaucratic structure. The structure looks like a pyramid where the extent of authority increases along with an increase in the position. Rules and regulations. The rules and regulations as well as the procedures are laid down by the senior leadership in the organization. They are clearly documented and followed. Impersonal conduct. The members of the organization have an impersonal relationship with each other. The decisions that are taken by each member are guided completely by the rules and regulations and are entirely impersonal in nature. Sentiments and emotions have very little or no room in a bureaucratic structure. Staffing. The employees are hired on a contractual basis. A contract is generated between the employee and the employer, and the period of service is controlled on the basis of the rules and regulations of the organization. The employees are paid a salary on a monthly basis according to the job they do and also on the length of their tenure in the organization. Technical competence. The bureaucrats are not elected. They do not get their position through inheritance either. They are appointed using a system of selection, the basis of which is their technical competence. Promotions are based on performance and technical qualifications in a bureaucracy. Official records. In a bureaucratic organization, the administration is supported by a record keeping system which should be efficient. The decisions made in the organization are formally recorded and so are the activities. They are recorded and kept safely with the objective of future reference. This entire process is supported by an efficient filing system. The system of bureaucracy was designed by Weber to be an ideal system so that it could bring about and promote rationality as well as predictability of behavior in an organization. The division of labor. The impersonal character of relationships, the importance of rules, employing individuals and promoting them on the basis of their technical competence, and the other characteristics of bureaucracy help in contributing towards making operations more efficient. Criticism of bureaucracy. This system of administration and management has its own limitations. It could lead to several consequences that are not desirable, which are: the rules and regulations are followed in letter but often not in spirit. As a result, instead of providing clear guidelines, the rules could become the cause of inefficiency. The rules are sometimes misunderstood, misinterpreted, and even misused by the individuals who are responsible for the implementation of these rules. This could result in red tape and delays in making even simple and straightforward decisions. An organization which is bureaucratic requires everyone to strictly follow all the rules and regulations of the organization. This limits the development of the personality of individuals, as they are unable to take any initiative even when they want to. They might have gone ahead and taken initiative in a system that was more flexible and did not punish them for not following the laid down rules. Individuals who are mature sometimes have their own goals and needs that might be in conflict with the goals of the organization. Bureaucracy does not give any importance to the goals of individuals. Bureaucracy does not recognize and acknowledge informal organizational or interpersonal relations. Bureaucracy as a system discourages innovation. This is so because every employee is expected to behave in a specific manner, and any deviation from that is not encouraged, even if that deviation has the potential of leading to innovation which might be good for the organization in the long run. In a bureaucratic organization, sometimes goals are displaced. Due to the priority given to rules and regulations, the primary goals can be ignored. This happens due to excessive focus on rules and regulations. The bureaucratic structure is large and consists of many layers of executives. This slows down the communication. Something important and urgent could take an unnecessarily long time for it to flow down from the top to the bottom level. The structure of bureaucracy does not remain effective in a dynamic environment or when there is turbulence. It becomes impossible for an organization to provide a quick reaction that is demanded by an environment that is changing fast. Neoclassical theory. The writers of classical theory include Taylor, Feyel and Weber. They made great contributions in the study of management thought. However, they completely neglected the human relations aspect of running an organization. Human relations approach. The focus of neoclassical theorists was the human aspect of organization. They made many modifications to classical theory and laid emphasis on the fact that an organization is a social system. They pointed out that the human factor is the most important aspect within an organization. They carried out many experiments, famously known as the Hawthorne experiments. During these experiments, they explored informal groups and informal relationships. They investigated patterns of communication and patterns of informal leadership and so on. This helped in the development of an approach that was based on human relations. The human relations approach emerged and gained importance due to the limitations of scientific management approach. The human relations approach recognized these gaps and addressed them while building their theory. They took social factors into consideration. They acknowledged that the attitudes, perceptions and expectations of individuals play an important role in the workplace and its administration. Elton Mayo developed the human relations theory. He is considered as the father of the human relations school of thought. He was an Australian psychologist at Harvard University and conducted the Hawthorne experiments or the Hawthorne studies. From these experiments, he derived that individuals have unique preferences and they should not and cannot be treated as machines. There were other writers who made prominent contributions to this school of thought. They include two of Elton Mayo's associates at the Hawthorne plant, Fritz Reutlisberger and William John Dixon. Other prominent contributors include North Whitehead and W. Lloyd. The human relations approach in administration was actually made possible by John Dewey with the help of his pragmatic philosophy and by Kurt Lewin with the help of his dynamic psychology. The human resource approach recognizes the importance of the human aspect in an organization. It displayed how important social and psychological factors are in determining the satisfaction level of workers and their productivity. It was an important factor in creating a new outlook towards workers and the workplace. The neoclassical approach or the human relations approach lays emphasis on interpersonal relations and on informal groups that are formed at the workplace. The writers of human relations approach believe that achieving the objectives of an organization is not possible unless there is cooperation of people. Such cooperation does not come on its own and cannot be ordered. To achieve this, a conscious effort needs to be made. The neoclassical theory suggests that only organization structures that are people oriented will be able to integrate both formal and informal organizations. The basic principles of the human relations approach are: an organization is a social system. The attitude and behavior of an employee is significantly influenced by his associations with informal groups, especially those that he is a member of. A worker is not motivated by only economic incentives. Other factors that affect his social and psychological well-being are important motivating factors as well. Both his social and psychological needs have to be satisfied in order to improve the level of his motivation. An organization needs the attitude of cooperation amongst its employees if it wants to get positive results. Mere command is not enough to achieve this objective. The management of an organization needs to develop social skills and leadership qualities along with technical skills. It needs to take an active interest in the welfare and well-being of all its employees. The morale of the workers and the productivity they achieve have a direct relation in an organization. Factors that affect human relations. An organization must be looked upon as a social system. Human relations in every organization are determined by the individuals, the work groups, its leaders and the work environment that exists there. All these factors influence each other. Individual. Every individual is unique and is an important part of the organization. There are several aspects that affect the behavior of an individual. Some of them are his sentiments, his feelings, his attitude and his values. To motivate an employee, an organization needs to give due importance to not just his economic needs, but also his social and psychological needs. To manage the needs of all employees is complex and makes motivation a complex process. Work group. The human relations approach makes the work group the center of focus. This has a significant role in influencing the attitudes and the performance of all employees. The Hawthorne studies displayed that these informal groups have a strong influence over the employees and affect their behavior pattern. Work environment. The human relations approach suggests that a positive work environment should be created. This will lead to the satisfaction of employees and in turn help in the achievement of organizational goals. When the needs of employees are taken care of, the work environment can be considered positive, and when the needs of the employees are not taken care of, the work environment can be termed as negative. Leader. The human relations approach gives a lot of importance to leadership. The leader needs to make sure that all resources of the organization are fully and effectively utilized in order to achieve the goals of the organization. The leader must be skilled and capable of adjusting to different personalities and different situations. He must have the ability to earn respect from all employees. A leader can significantly contribute in increasing the productivity of the organization by providing an environment which is happy, free and pleasant. An environment where employees can participate in the decision-making process. Authoritative behavior should be replaced by democratic values. Summary. Administrative management approach. This is also known as the management process approach. This school of thought perceives management to be a process that involves several important functions such as planning, organizing, directing and controlling. Henry Feyel is considered to be the father of this school of thought. He looked at management as a group of several different functions and suggested that they are applicable universally. Feyel was of the opinion that organizations need to give more attention to managerial activities. He believed that management is a process that consists of 5 elements of functions. These elements are planning, organizing, commanding, coordination and control. Bureaucracy. Max Weber made significant contributions to the classical theory of management. His most important contribution to management is his theory of authority structure and his account of organization, which is based on the nature of authority and its relationship within the organization. Weber was of the opinion that there are 3 layers of acceptable authority, which are rational legal authority, traditional authority and charismatic authority. The neoclassical theory, human relations approach. The focus of new classical theorists was the human aspect of organization. They made many modifications to classical theory and laid emphasis on the fact that an organization is a social system. They pointed out that the human factor is the most important aspect within an organization. Elton Mayo developed the human relations theory. He is considered as the father of the human relations school of thought. He proposed that individuals have unique preferences and they cannot be treated as machines. Social and psychological factors are important in determining the satisfaction level of workers and their productivity. This is all we have for today. Hope the session was informative. We will meet again in the next episode with part 3 of organization structure. Till then, take care and goodbye.